Hi guys, it's Granny Tana speaking. Welcome to this FS25 mod presentation video. In this video I'll show you my farm factory. This mod has been released at Modhub for all platforms. You can find a link in the description below and you can also download it in the in-game Modhub. Yeah, and maybe a lot of you guys already know this mod from FS22, and I brought it to FS25 with all the new recipes that we have in the base game for the normal productions. Yeah, and the idea behind this is if you have a huge farm, you want to produce a lot of stuff, not just a little bit. And I already have my small farm production out, which produces all kind of different stuff, but in a smaller scale for a small farm. And this here is for a big farm, business-like farm, where you need a factory and not a small production hut. Yeah, and therefore the functionality is more or less the same between the farm factory and the farm production. So you can produce nearly all base game productions in this left building and only no wood stuff. And in the right building you can produce farm supply that you need to feed your animals, or seeds and fertilizer and things like that. Yeah, so let's just try it out. I jump into the tractor and I deliver some wheat. And the production rate is around 10 times bigger than with small farm production. So you can really produce quite a lot of stuff. And it if you activate a lot of the production chains, this production building will pump out the pellets very, very fast. So they don't have a share capacity, but they have they all run in full speed. So yeah, no matter how many different productions you have. And therefore, yeah, if you have a bigger variety of productions, you get a massive amount of pellets out of it. So, oh, by the way, what I nearly forgot. If you want to get something back into a trailer if you put in too much of your wheat, and then you think, oh my God, I want to feed my chicken, so I need some of my wheat back. Then you can just stand at the same place where you deliver the stuff. You press the R key or the respective console button, and then you can get all the bulk stuff out. Not the pellets, obviously, because you can't put a bread pellet into your trailer, but everything that is defined as bulk you can get out. Here, for example, the wheat, you could get some of the wheat out and feed it to your chicken. So now let's have a look at the production chains. And it's a lot, as you might think. And if you know it already, there already was a lot of productions in the FS22 farm factory, but now I added all the FS25 productions as well. So the red beet soup, the rice box, even the rope, the spinach bag, everything that is new to FS25 or that has been part of a DLC in FS22, like the preserved food beetroot and so on. So this is all new, therefore we have a very long list. And because we have such a long list, let's search for the flower. I made the trick with the fill type converter again. So we only have flour recipes for long grain rice and for wheat. But there is no recipe, I just activated, there is no recipe for flour out of barley. Because I thought the list would just become too long if I would add all those things into it. But you can deliver barley to this production building and then it is converted in an instance into wheat. So you put in barley and you get wheat and then you can produce flour out of it. Because out of the barley you only can produce flour and therefore it's a no-brainer. And the long grain rice is separated, but for the long grain rice it's the same with the rice. So if you put in rice, it's transformed into long grain rice. And then we have all the rice recipes and the long grain recipes available with the long grain rice. And the amount that is converted is according to the yield that you get from the field. So you get more barley from the field than wheat, and that is calculated into this conversion. So you don't lose anything, the value stays the same and you can do all the same stuff. The only thing is this list is not even longer than it is already. That is the reason why I did that. And with my other production, some people didn't understood what this fill type converter is doing. They felt robbed, but it doesn't rob anything from you. For example, if you put in oat, which has a lower yield than wheat, this fill type converter makes more wheat out of it than you put in oat, because you shouldn't lose anything. So this about the fill type converter. And on top of it, here we activate the bread. There I can show it to you. Similar to my small farm production, here you get pig food if you lose something in the recipe that is not reasonable to be just lost. In this recipe, this is a completely stupid recipe. This 90 part flour becomes 45 parts bread. That is neither realistic nor reasonable. I don't know why they did it. I think just for the balancing. But then I thought, okay, this flour doesn't disappear into nothing. Let's make pig food out of it. Because in reality, if you have a lot of waste that you could still use for something, then it's often used as pig food. And here we have one example for the pig food. I kept the base game recipe, but added this pig food thingy. And then we have a different example, also with pig food, but this recipe is reasonable. So if you harvest canola and you put it in an oil mill, you get less canola oil than the canola was. This is normal, but you have some waste. This is like a pressed cake or so. And yeah, what do the people do with this waste? because it's valuable waste. It has a lot of proteins, and so it's a lot of nourishment, and you could feed it to the pigs. So this is a realistic use of canola making oil, and then you have pig food. And so most of the recipes have pig food as an addition everywhere where it is somehow reasonable to have this. And so if you use this farm factory, you can have pigs without growing 5 different crops, especially not only for the pigs. You can just feed all this stuff to them and they are very happy. And if you don't want to have pigs, you can also sell the pig food. And in order to set the pig food on selling, separated from the canola oil, for example, if you want to have that the canola oil is spawning, but you want to sell the pig food, this is not possible like that in FS25. Don't know why they made it. But here, therefore, I made this thing here which transforms pig food to pig food, and here you can set it to selling, and then only the pig food will be sold and not the olive oil or the canola oil. Yeah, that is about the farm factory. And next is we have a look at the farm supply factory. You could fill in grass, for example, and you make hay out of it, and or silage. You can make total mixed ration. You can make pig food with base game pig food recipes. So you put in your grain and such to mix pig food. You can also make seeds out of grain and so forth. Let's have a look what is possible here. So one example is you put in barley and you can produce seeds. Barley is better for making seeds than wheat, because you have a bigger yield of barley and therefore it is more lucrative. And you can make seeds out of corn because you have a rather big yield from the corn. And we can make all kinds of silage, so it's like a fermenting silo from chaff, from grass, from hay. And you can also make silage, this is from grass, with added water, and you get digestate. And you can use this digestate to fertilize your fields instead of slurry. And if you don't want this, you could sell it to some selling stations, but this is not so common. Or you can transform it to, let's say, here it is, to liquid fertilizer, for example. And here you can see you lose something, and we don't make pig food out of it because digestate is much cheaper than liquid fertilizer, which is quite expensive. And so I calculated it that the value stays the same. And therefore you put in quite a lot of digestate and only get 1/10 of it in liquid fertilizer. And if you want to have solid fertilizer, I made a recipe where you can add lime and then you get solid fertilizer. But be aware, this is a fantasy recipe. This has nothing to do with reality. It is only the idea is somehow reasonable, because digestate can be used as fertilizer. Therefore, okay, we use this for making the fertilizer, and the lime is added because you don't get this grimy stuff from just drying digestate. And therefore I thought, okay, then we add some lime, and which can also be used to put it on the fields, and then it becomes some grainy substance. But this is not realistic. If you want to play realistic, you shouldn't use those recipes, and you shouldn't use the lime recipes that produces lime out of the stones that you get from the field. Lime is not produced like that. But a lot of players want such a recipe, and it is common use in the farm sim community to produce lime out of stones, even if it's completely fantasy. And if you like to play fantasy-like, I like to play a lot of fantasy-like, but this is, for my taste, is too much fantasy. And in the production department, I'm more in the realistic department. But if you like it, use it and be happy with it, I would say. Therefore, it is included. Okay, so, and I think you can feed a lot of cows with this farm supply production, and you can pump out such a lot of pellets with other production that it will be hard to handle all the pellets. If you have it running intensely, maybe you should switch to direct selling, or if you like to transport hundreds of pellets, then this is the way to go. Okay, I wish you a lot of fun and a lot of profit with this mod. Thank you for your support as a Ruby channel member. If you want to buy FS25 or a DLC, feel free to use my code OMATANA. You'll find the link for the PC version in the video description. It doesn't cost you anything extra and supports me a lot. Now I wish you a wonderful day, thank you for watching, and all the best till next time. Tschüss!